Greetings everyone, this is Gulab here. As requested, in this video I'm going to talk about how to worship Lord Indra. I've been getting a lot of comments about Indra, Lord Indra, and how to worship him. And so this video is going to focus on how to worship Lord Indra in this present age of Kali Yuga. See, times are different now than they were in the times of the Vedas. In the Rig Veda and the four Vedas, that time period was all about doing the yagnas, the fire sacrifices, to be able to worship those gods of Lord Indra, Vayu, Agni. All those gods were worshipped through fire sacrifice, and they would offer the ghee and the rice into the fire and things like that. So, but these times are different now, and we're in the age of Kali Yuga, and it's recommended in this age of Kali that the best method of yagna or sacrifice is to chant the holy names of the Lord. So the Supreme Lord has numerous infinite amounts of spiritual names that we can chant. And by chanting these spiritual names, we purify our souls, because we are all spiritual souls, and by connecting with the spiritual names, which are like mantras, it's enacting what is totally natural for the soul. So it's just like reawakening our original consciousness. And I just want to say also, because I've been asked about my personal, spiritual practice and how I personally worship Lord Indra, because it has been stated that I do worship Lord Indra. So I want to say that I can't reveal everything about my personal spiritual practice, because that's very personal. Everyone is on their own particular spiritual path, and so what I do personally is just for my own life. But what I will share is just some general information of how to worship Lord Indra in the form of mantra meditation. So my spiritual practice is about mantra meditation, and that is in this day and age it's the easiest form and method of worship. So for a little more information about myself, I actually grew up in a bhakti cult, a bhakti yoga cult, Sanatan Dharma. So I'm not going to get into specifics of which cult that was that I grew up in, but growing up in that cult, you're taught to not read other books, only read the books by the author of the cult leader, that sort of thing. That's how you know you're in a cult. If you're advised to not branch out and read other authors and read other sources of knowledge, you know that you're in a cult, because it's that brainwashing, like, don't you dare read another perspective. And I am so glad to be free from that, and free to just do my own research and experimenting and researching on all the sources of knowledge out there among spirituality. And that's what this channel is focused on. My channel here, I have 3 channels, but this one is my favorite one. And this is focusing on spiritual perspectives of the world, of the universe, and of ourselves. And so I really take it seriously, and I dive deep into the best sources of knowledge that I can possibly find. I have developed my own spiritual practice just by my own intuition of what I felt was right. Another question I received is, do I have a guru? I do not have a guru, because I already grew up in a bhakti cult where there was a guru. I never got initiated. That was never my guru, but that was the path. The path was you accept a guru, you get initiated by a guru, and you become a disciple of the guru, and you follow the guru's orders. Well, I'm not really that type of person to follow other people's rules and regulations. I'm not going to go into that type of atmosphere. So I believe that the Supreme Lord is so merciful that if someone is sincere and wants to know the truth, that he will impart the knowledge to that individual so that you may understand the Supreme. So to those who are sincere and worship the Supreme Lord with devotion, the Supreme Lord gives the understanding by which to come to him. And that, to me, doesn't require a guru. I feel like you can have your own direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. You don't need to have this intermediate person to do that. And then, then it becomes very questionable. Is this guru pure or not pure? Because you're supposed to follow a pure devotee. How do you know if he's a pure devotee? That kind of thing. Anyways, I'd rather approach the Supreme Lord directly. And that is my approach. My approach is, I respect all the sages, the rishis, the sadhus, the saints. I respect all of them, but I don't necessarily follow one of those. I basically want to get to the source of the Supreme. So now back to Lord Indra. I myself hadn't done a lot of research on the mantras, but before I started worshiping Lord Indra, before I knew about Lord Indra, I was worshiping Lord Shiva. And I was doing Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and I was doing the mantra to Lord Shiva. And so what I did was I just took that same mantra and I just made it to Indra. So I went Om Namah Indraya, Om Namah Indraya. So what does the mantra really mean? Well, it means, in the Shiva one, it means I bow down to Shiva, or oh, salutations to the auspicious one, or adoration to Lord Shiva, or let's see, my salutations to Shiva, the auspicious one. So basically, the Om Namah is like I bow down to, or paying homage to, or adoration to, salutations to, and then you just put in the name of God after it. So you could basically use this formula, if you want to call it a formula, for any God that you want to worship. So you go Om Namah, and then whatever God it is, it could be Om Namah Vishnu, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Indraya. So I'm using it for Indra, and I found that you can say Indraya instead of just Indra. So Om Namah Indraya, Om Namah Indraya, Om Namah Indraya, Om Namah Indraya. And you can chant on beads. So what kind of beads could you chant on? Well, we know there's Tulsi beads that are sacred, and that's used usually in the Vaishnavites, those who worship Lord Vishnu and Lord Krishna. But there's also the Rudra beads, Rudraksha beads, which are used for Lord Shiva, and those are also sacred. I'd say you could use either. You could use either the Rudraksha beads to chant for Lord Indra, or you could use the Tulsi beads to chant on. And if there's any other types of sacred beads that you know of, you could use. And you can use the appropriate fingers rubbing the bead as you chant the mantra, which is the middle finger and the thumb holding the bead, and the right hand, of course, using the right hand, middle finger, thumb, rubbing each bead with the mantra. So I kind of figured out a rhythmic way to do it. Like I kind of chant like 3, maybe 4 of them before taking a breath. So I would be like, Om Namah Indraya, 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 and then I would take a breath. So I think that's like 4. Om Namah Indraya, Om Namah Indraya, Om Namah Indraya, Om Namah Indraya. Yeah, it's about 4, and then I take a breath, and that's when I would switch beads. You could switch beads after every single Om Namah Indraya, or if you want to do like more of a rhythmic, like 4 in a row, take a breath, switch the bead, you could do it that way. However you like, it's all very individual. And another thing that you can do is you can have bhajan or kirtan with these names of Indra as well. So I myself, I have a mridanga drum. I also have kartals. So if you're the type of person that, sits down and has a nice, beautiful bhajan or kirtan, you can do that praying for Lord Indra. So I kind of developed some rhythms to do it. So what I developed is kind of like, let me see if I can remember. It's Om Namah Indraya, 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 Indraya Namah, Indraya Namah, Indraya Namah, Indraya Namah, Om Namah Indraya, Om Namah Indraya, Om Namah Indraya, Om Namah Indraya, Om Namah. So there's various ways you can do that, and it's always on a rhythm of 3. If you have kartals, you're going to be going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and so you can make up some various some ways to do that. So now I don't have my drum and my kartals here for making this video, so I couldn't do a kirtan for you, but maybe I could do that in the future. All right, so now I'm going to go to where there is some more information on mantras for Indra, which is very interesting. I just found this today, actually. So, Indra mantras. Okay. Indra Sahasranam. This is for anyone who wants to learn Indra's mantras for various occasions and concerns, or simply for the joy of bhakti. See, bhakti, devotion. This is how we can worship Indra in this present day, is through devotion, through chanting his holy names. So, Sri Ganapati Muni, also known as Kanta, was a great scholar and a disciple of Sri Ramana Maharshi, and he composed several devotional works devoted to Indra. The most well-known of these is the Indra Sahasranam Stotram. Okay, I better say that again. Indra Sahasranam Stotram. Okay, that's a long word. The Indra Sahasranam, the 1,000 names of Indra, which Sri Kavyakanta compiled from the Rig Veda. That's what that is. Any or all of these names may be used for worship by chanting each one with Om before and Nama or Namaha after. Example, Om Indraya Namaha, Om Devata Maya Namaha, Om Devatamaya Namaha. The halting efforts at English translation are mine. I provided only very brief general ideas for these names so that the document didn't get too long to be usable. It's a work in progress. Okay, so this is what the author is stating. Okay, Indra Bhagavan. The most well-known of the 12-lettered Bhagavate mantras is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Variations of this mantra exist, 2 addressed to Indra. Om Namo Bhagavate Maharajaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Maharajaya. Om and salutations to the Supreme Lord of Lords, King of Kings. Om Namo Bhagavate Rajadevaya. Om and salutation to the Supreme King of Devas, divine ruler. Indra Gayatri, one of the most sacred Hindu prayers mantras, is the Savitri Gayatri, Rig Veda 3:62-10. Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dimahi Diyo Na Prakodayat. Other mantras in the Gayatri meter, similar in form to this well-known verse, are provided in later texts, each requesting a different deva's guidance and inspiration. Indra Gayatri is recommended for those seeking protection and security, but may be used for general devotion as well. Here are a few versions of Indra Gayatri. First, Om Devarajaya Vidmahe Rajahastaya Dimahi Tana Indraha Prachodayat. Om, let us meditate upon the King of Devas. May that great God who holds the thunderbolt in his hand inspire and illumine our mind and understanding. This version is chanted as track number 6, Indra Gayatri, on the CD zodiac signs, Vrishchika Rasi, Scorpio by proof, Taigarajan and Sanskrit scholars. One may also chant the above mantra, replacing Devarajaya with Sahasranetraya, 1,000 eyes one. So that means 1,000 eyes, that Sahasrane, or 1,000, because remember it was 1,000 names before, now it's 1,000 eyes. Another variant I have heard is to chant Tat Purushaya, referring to Purusha, the cosmic or universal man. Here, this is chanted by Prakesh Rao as track number 27, Indra Gayatri Mantram. I'll leave a link to this because it sounds like there's audio that goes to this that you guys can listen to the way these mantras are. Another version is Om Devarajaya Vidmahe Vajrahastaya Dimahi Tanas Chakra Prakodayat. Om, let us meditate upon the King of Devas. May that mighty God, who holds the thunderbolt in his hand, inspire and illumine our understanding. This mantra appears in the Linga Purana 2:48-18. Indra Stuti. This intriguing prayer is chanted by Uttanka in the Poshya Parva, Adi Parva of the Mahabharata. Here are its last two verses with translation. Vajrasya Bharta Bhuvanasya Gupta Vritrasaya Hanta Namusarni Hanta Krishne Vasano Vasane Mahatma Satyantarteyo Vivinakti Loke. O welder of the Vajra, protector of the universe, the slayer of Vrita and Namuchi, O illustrious one who wears the black cloth and displays the truth and untruth of the universe. Yo Vajinam Garbam Apam Puranam Vaishvanaram Vahanam Abhyopetaha Nama Sadasmai Jagashjivarai Lokatreya Shea Purandaraya, who has for your vehicle the horse received from the ocean's depths, the fiery Vaishvanar. I salute you, Supreme Lord of the universe, Lord of the three worlds, destroyer of strongholds. Mantras for particular purposes. This is actually very long, so what I'm going to do is stop here as a part 1 and continue on with these mantras, Indra mantras, in part 2.